there, I'm Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. I'm here every Monday at 4:30 PM to talk about the boxing action of the weekend just gone. And while every man and his dog are, of course, focusing on Canelo's marvellous achievement to become the first ever undisputed super middleweight champion of the 4-belt era, and perhaps ever, I'm just trying to think, in the 3-belt era, I don't think anyone managed it at that weight either. But I'm going to focus instead on the BOXXER tournament in Liverpool on Saturday night, because I really enjoyed it, and also because everyone else is talking about Canelo. He's not exactly going to struggle for coverage this week or in the months and years to come. I've got to give full credit to Sky Sports and BOXXER. This was by far the best show of their new era, their new partnership so far. Kind of underwhelming start. Second show had some significant improvements, but this was the best, most exciting, most engrossing show that we've seen from them so far. And it must be especially gratifying for the head of BOXXER, Ben Shalom, because the one that's delivered that impact is something that was based on his concept, with a bit of a nod to Matchroom's Prize Fighter series, of course. And that was previously Ultimate BOXXER with 2 X's, and now just BOXXER Tournament. It was very exciting from start to finish, and there's a number of things I like about tournament boxing. It's important that it's not overused, because I think that's the mistake Matchroom did make with Prize Fighter, is that we started seeing them pop up every couple of months, and it kind of diluted the impact. But I think if it's used sparingly, it can be a very, very effective format. 3 threes, obviously 3-minute rounds for 3 3-minute rounds for each one. 4 quarterfinals, 2 semis, and then a final. It was won by Cori Gibbs, the pre-tournament favourite, best amateur in the field, which is always an advantage in these shorter format tournaments. And also an unbeaten pro, adds another 3 wins to that ledger, and came through a tight final, I thought, with local favourite Tom Farrell, who kind of reignited his career. And that's one of the things I like about these sort of tournaments, is that it can have a great impact even on the fighters who don't win. It can give great exposure to fighters who've previously plied their trade on the small hall circuit. It can turn careers around, the likes of Farrell, who was coming off a upset defeat to a journeyman in his last time out, got to the final, and for some people looked maybe a little unlucky not to win it. I thought it was exceptionally close against Gibbs in the final. But just looked really good all the way through, Farrell. You know, switch hitting, technical boxing, great timing. Didn't go in all guns blazing except when he needed to, which a lot of people were tempted to do in the tournament format. And that's one of the other great things, is that because it's short, it's abbreviated time frame, people tend to come out and start a lot quicker than they would in a 10, 12, 8-round fight. And we saw that a lot. I mean, no fight was ever less than exciting, and at its best, there were some real thrilling ones as well. I particularly like Tom Farrell's semi-final against Kane Gardner. He scored the only knockdown of the night in the last round of that one. And Cori Gibbs, although came out with the idea of using his technical boxing, his range, his distance and his smarts to keep things easy. And I think that was key to him winning the tournament, is that every other quarter-final was kind of hell for leather, and he managed to take his time a little bit more. Although he did get dragged in a bit, particularly in the last round by Sean Dodd. He ultimately paced himself well, and I think that was key to him coming out on top. Although, as I say, some people did have Tom Farrell winning in the final. But yeah, so it's just action-packed, which is always great. It has the ability to change fighters' careers. But also, Sky Sports got right behind it with the production. They had kind of pre-fight montages about each contestant. They interviewed them all. They just made it feel really important. And I suppose it is, with the cash prize on offer, you know, a longer term contract potentially with BOXXER and Sky Sports, the exposure element too. There is a lot at stake for these guys, and these aren't fighters that we're used to seeing regularly on the screens. You know, Farrell was probably the most well-known person in the 8-man field. And for everyone, because no one performed badly, even for the losers of the quarterfinals, there could be further opportunities off the back of this. People now know their names, they know elements of their backstory. So it performs a vital function, and we might see them on other BOXXER shows, the non-tournament ones going forward, which will be really good to see. It was a chance for us to forget about all the kind of peripheral stuff, you know, the heat map, the Johnny Nelson in the changing rooms and all that sort of stuff, and just get down to what people watch these things for, or at least the hardcore fans, and that's boxing action. And not only did we see lots of exciting fights, we also saw something we don't see enough of on the bigger shows, and I don't just mean this for BOXXER, I mean all the major promoters, and that's competitive action. You know, everyone was pretty well matched, and even the ones that came in with kind of 50-50 records or weren't one of the favourites in the field, they could look at the other 7 people and say, look, there's no one here who really intimidates me, who really scares me, even though on paper I'd be expected to lose against some of these guys. I can still give it my all, and then, you know, if the luck goes the right way and I get the right draw, I could win the tournament and I could get a good cash prize. And even if they don't, they still get pretty well compensated for however much of a part they do play. So it means everyone gives their best effort, and because of the matchmaking, which I have to praise, everyone was pretty, you know, on a level. It was competitive. There weren't many fights where you say, well, so-and-so was completely outclassed. You know, even over 3 rounds, there weren't many 3-0s on the judges' scorecards at the end. So everyone's kind of a winner. The fans enjoy it as long as it's not overused, as I said before. The fighters benefit from the winner right down to the bottom of the losers from the quarterfinals. And the sport as a whole benefits because it creates new, viable, either future stars, in the case of Gibbs perhaps, but also future opponents for big fights, future big ticket sellers locally, the likes of Tom Farrell. If he has rejuvenated his career, as I suspect, he could be on the next big Liverpool show, either BOXXER or Matchroom or whoever. So, yeah, everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth. To quote a bit of I nearly said Errol Johnson then, but he's obviously the Birmingham trainer, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would. When I looked at the schedule previously, going towards the end of the year, the BOXXER tournament wasn't one that stood out to me as, wow, you know, I can't miss that. But as it turned out, you know, it's a simple sport, boxing sometimes. Get 8 guys who are hungry, roughly the same level as each other, and just let them go at it under a format that is predicated towards short, sharp action. How can you go wrong? And I don't think it did. And yeah, it's a great step forward. And there's elements of that in terms of how competitive the fights were, and how much we were as viewers encouraged to invest in the fighters by the production around it. I think there's lessons there to be learned going forward for televised boxing, for BOXXER specifically because it was their show, but also for some of the other promoters. Now I'd like to hear what you guys think. I'm sure not as many of you watched it as watched the Canelo fight. However, let me know what you think of the BOXXER concept generally and what you made of Saturday night's action. I will be back on Thursday for FLEXpectations, 4:30 PM as usual, and then the following Monday for the next ReFLEXions at the same time. Really appreciate you watching. Please leave your comments below, and I will see you all soon. Cheers.